All right, good morning, Miss Murray's class. So today's gonna look a little different, but we're gonna keep learning just the same way we always do when Miss Murray is here. In case you didn't know me, I'm Mr. Juarez. Most of you already know me, but today I'm going to be guiding you through kind of like the intro to the lesson, which is what Miss Murray normally does during this time. Okay, so this what I'm about to show you here might already be familiar, but it'll set you up for success once you do your lesson for today. Okay, once you're in class today. Now, today you're gonna be learning about graphing number patterns. Graphing number patterns. And really, the essential question that you're going to be answering is how can I display number patterns in a coordinate grid? Now, this is one of my personal favorites. This is one of my personal favorite concepts. It's taking a story, a rule, finding connections between just values and graphing them in an ordered pair. If you've ever played, what's this game called, Battleship, you're essentially doing this. You're essentially finding patterns, measuring, and finding specific addresses or points in a coordinate grid to try to get the other battleships, right? So let's go through this very quickly, and so you're set whenever the lesson comes. Now, the essential thing you have to remember, really, here, let me take my mask because I'm really struggling. The essential thing you have to do here is you're always going to be given a problem. You're always going to be given a story, right? And within the story, there's a connection between two things, right? So it is your job to understand what the story is saying so that you're able to find the necessary information. So for example, right, here, I'm just giving a very short one. Let's say you're playing a video game, right? And every time you pass one level, you're gonna get 2 extra lives as a reward, right? That's a pattern, right? One level, you pass one level and you get 2 lives. If you pass 2 levels, then you'll probably get 4 lives if you haven't lost any on the process, right? 3 levels, 6 lives, and so on, so on, so on. That's a pattern, right? And we can use that pattern to visualize it in a coordinate grid. Okay. Now, the coordinate grid is something very important to understand. Now, the coordinate grid is it's like a map. Okay, and just know this is only part of it. In 5th grade, you only learn the first quadrant of a coordinate grid. You'll get into it later on in other grade levels. But what you need to know about coordinate grids is they have 2 axes. They have this axis here that goes horizontally, and you might know what this is called, but in case you don't, this is called the x-axis. X-axis. Okay? The x-axis runs from left to right. Okay? Remember that. The x-axis goes from left to right. It's horizontal. Now, the other axis is my y-axis, and it runs bottom to top or top to bottom. Okay? So those are the 2 very important parts that you need to understand. Now, every coordinate grid has something called the origin. The origin is the place where the x-axis and the y-axis intersect. Okay, and they have a specific, let's call it address, right? These 2 intersect at something called 0, 0. Okay, anytime you're gonna graph here, you always have to go back to your origin. Okay, and then from the origin you move to the right and then up. okay, depending on your order of pairs. And let me show you what that means. Let's go to the next one, right? So the order of pairs, this is where the x-axis and the y-axis come in handy, okay? The first value in an order pair, okay, the first value in an order pair, the first number, and I think Miss Murray already told you this, you're gonna move, it's called your x-coordinate, okay? It's called your x-coordinate, and you move to the right. So anytime you see an order pair, just put a little arrow facing towards the right here, okay? And the y-coordinate is gonna tell you to move up. Okay, remember this is only 5th grade. Later on you're gonna learn that it's not necessarily always to the right or always up. But for now, that's what you need to learn. The x-coordinate helps me move to the right, and the y-coordinate helps me move up on the grid. So, for example, let's use the order pair 2, 3. Okay, now I can use that to graph it on my coordinate grid. Again, let me go back to red. The first order pair, the first value, it's the x-coordinate, and remember that tells me to move to the right. So from the origin, remember, always start at the origin. You're gonna move 2 to the right, so 1, 2, okay? And then you're gonna move up 3, okay? Now, 1, 2, and then let's move up 3 along the y-axis. 1, 2, and 3, okay? So this order pair here, that would be 2, 3. And to verify, you can just kind of do a dotted line to see that you landed on the 2, which is the first one, and the 3, which is the second one, okay? Now, the order matters. 2, 3 is not the same thing as 3, 2. Okay, 3, 2 is a different story, and let me show you why. If you move 3 to the right first, because that's what my x-coordinate is, you move 1, 2, 3. Okay, you saw that? Let me go back to the origin. You move 3 to the right first, 1, 2, 3, and then you move 2 up. 1, 2. So you end up right here. This is 3, 2. Are they in the same position? No, they're in different places because my values flipped. Okay, so anytime you're dealing with with order pairs, be very careful. Okay, because the order in which you put your numbers matters. Okay, order pairs, the x value moves to the right first, and the y value moves up second. Okay, all right. Now let's go back to my original story. Right. You have one level, so you got the grid, you got the rule. This is called your rule, and you're gonna follow that rule to craft your order pairs. The first one is gonna be one level, so the x would be the level, and that we would label that here. The values on my x-axis represent the number of levels that you've passed in your game. And then the y-axis would be the extra lives, okay? So the values on my y-axis, represent the lives, okay? Now, 1 level equals to 2 lives. So here, 2 levels equals 4, and then 3 levels equals 6, and so on, because you keep getting 2 for any extra level that you pass. And then you can use this information to create your order pairs. See, 1, 2, it's right here. 2 comma 4 is right here, and then the last one 3 comma 6, and there it is. Okay, now then you can use those order pairs the same way we did here to graph these two. You can use those to graph the numbers here. Okay, so the first one is 1 comma 2. We'll move 1 to the right, remember, and 2 up. 1 to the right and 2 up, so you will fall here. This is my first order pair. The next one is 2 comma 4. You move 2 to the right and 4 up. 2 to the right and 4 up. And I don't have space, but essentially the pattern would continue, right? And tomorrow you're gonna learn about the actual operations that get from 1 to 2, because here there's a mathematical way to figure out that pattern, right? So and you'll get to learn more about that later in the week. Yeah, but for today, this is what you're gonna be learning. Please make sure that whenever you're actually gonna have this same scenario, just make sure you're showing all the work, the strategies, so that you're able to do this correctly. Awesome. You'll get another video tomorrow, okay? But for now, you're good to go.